For the past 4 years now, I have been reading the Rent-A-Girlfriend manga. And for a large majority of that time, it wasn't necessarily what I would call good. It was definitely a grind each and every week. I was always wondering, is this gonna be the week that something finally happens? Because, as we all know, Rent-A-Girlfriend doesn't exactly have progress right at the forefront. But a lot of my prayers were answered because in 2024, Rent-A-Girlfriend finally got somewhere. Now, it didn't happen all at once, and there was definitely still some slow build-up to this moment. But we are finally at a place in Rent-A-Girlfriend where I can say it is good. When I think about Rent-A-Girlfriend, I am always reminded of the sunk cost fallacy. If you need a good visual representation, it's that one meme of that guy mining for diamonds. It's essentially putting in a lot of effort for a payoff, but when you get that payoff, it doesn't really, offset the cost that it took you to actually get to that point. It's like you're at a slot machine just hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting. And finally you hit $200 and it feels really good, but ignore the fact that it took you $1,000 to actually get to winning that $200. That is what Rent-A-Girlfriend has felt like for these past 4 years. Every single week, I went into a chapter and I put in the time and I put in my soul and I just kept getting nothing. Just miss after miss after miss. Until finally, on January 30th of 2024, we got the chapter. Since mid-2022 and all the way through 2023, we've been in something called the cohabitation arc, which saw Kazuya and Chizuru living together. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad part in the story, but it is definitely a slow build. Seeing Kazuya and Chizuru getting closer together, which they've been doing the entire time. I'm not going to get too much into the cohabitation arc right now, but I can make an entire video on the cohabitation arc. But basically, I feel like this would have been better if it was coming at the beginning of a manga and not 250 chapters into the dang thing. But at the end of the cohabitation arc, we see Kazuya thinking about asking Chizuru on a real date, not a rental date, an actual date. And in chapter 315, Kazuya finally asks her out, and Chizuru says yes. This was amazing to read. It was so cathartic after months of faking confessions and months of these two fake flirting while they're living together. After months of slow and steady progress, finally, Kazuya nuts up and he asks her out. I was thrilled. I was reading this chapter on my lunch break at my day job, and I had to just contain the excitement, but I was silently pumping my fist in the break room by myself because this moment was amazing. We finally got to a payoff. Now, again, forget the fact that for 4 years I have been complaining about this series and there's been maybe 5 good chapters in that time. But, this was good and it felt really good to read. Now, with that being said, I know this series, and at the time, I knew it was going to take a while until we actually got this date. But at the time, I was like, give it 4 or 5 months and we'll see these two going out together and it'll be a fun time. And like I said, this happened on the 30th of January. And all of February happened and no date. All of March happened, no date. All of April happened. And then all of May happened. And then all of June happened. All of July, all of August, all of September, and all of October. And then finally, on the 5th of November, they started to go on the date. 9 months. That is how long the buildup to this goddamn date was. There were multiple times within these 9 months where I thought I was going to get on a date before Kazuya and Chizuru went on their date. That didn't happen, and that's a whole different issue. But yeah, like that long, it's taking us this long to get there. I like to refer to this moment as the 9 months of hell, because that is what it felt like. Just slogging forward, knowing the date's coming, fresh off of this wonderful reveal that finally made me feel happy for these characters. And you just slowly go forward, and winter becomes spring, and spring becomes summer, and summer becomes fall, and there's still not a date happening. It just really wore me down, and I really started to get pissed off around July. So, what happened within these 9 months that pissed me off so much? Well, for one, Kazuya went out shopping to get new shoes, new clothes, yada yada yada. Chizuru went to the spa. We got some appearances from Ruka and Mani, which I am definitely going to have to circle back to. Um, One very key moment was Kazuya having a conversation with Curry. This conversation with Curry is important for two reasons. Number one is that this is the first time that Curry and Kazuya have talked since the Paradise arc. And let me remind everybody, after the Paradise arc, there was a 3-month time scale. And then it's been a month of the cohabitation arc within the story. So Kazuya and Curry just haven't spoken for 4 months. Kazuya is like the world's shittiest friend. But anyway, after Curry sees Kazuya, he's like freaking out because the last time you saw him, the Kazuya and Chizuru like kissed twice, and there's been like a huge fallout of that. So Curry is interested to find out like what happened, because as far as he knows, they were dating, but then they said that they were and they kissed. So what's going on? So Kazuya fills him in on everything that's happened and tells him that he's going on a date. And then Curry goes into the second thing that's important, where Curry says that they should have sex. Now, this is a big thing going into this date. Are Kazuya and Chizuru going to have sex? This keeps getting brought up like throughout the 9 months of Howl, and I honestly don't know. Well, actually, I know they're not gonna have sex. There's no way it's gonna happen. And if I'm wrong, hey, I will take it. But we might get a love hotel scene. It has been stated through the 9 months of Hell, and as we see on the actual day of the date, which we will get to, it is raining. And a lot of the times when it rains, there is a trope in romance manga where the two characters will hide out from the rain in a love hotel. And then we always get the classic love hotel scenes with the two characters being there. You know, maybe they'll have to dry their clothes off, and then the girl will have to go into like some sexy outfit, blah, blah, blah. You've seen love hotel scenes in manga and anime before, especially the ecchi ones. So we could very much get a love hotel scene, but there's no guarantee that something will actually happen. We might keep teasing the sex. In fact, I'm pretty sure Kazuya brought a condom with him. That might be a red herring. But I was thinking about this scene so much that I had to remember that Chizuru has already had her period, which that was confirmed during the cohabitation arc, where there was this really nice, funny sequence of Chizuru like being sick, and Kazuya was like, "Oh, I want to take care of you," and he made her rice porridge, and she was like, "I'm on my period," and he was like, "Oh no," and then like we got that alien showing that Kazuya was really confused. It was a really cute set of chapters, and you know, the fact that Chizuru has confirmed hacker period means that we can't have a moment like in My First Girlfriend as a Gal, the manga at least, where Jinichi and Yukano were like in a love hotel and they were like kind of gonna do it, but then Yukano's like, no, not a good time. So we can't have that moment happen in Rent, and if it does happen in Rent, that is a continuity error because Chizuru already had her period and it's been like longer than a week. So anyway, I know too much about this series. And then the other important thing that happened during these 9 months of Hell is the thing that really upset me was Ruka and Kazuya going on a rehearsal date, which meant that they, for like a month or two, were going on the date that Kazuya and Chizuru were going to go on. So basically, we're gonna see the date happen twice. Once with Minnie, once with Chizuru. Now, it's not gonna be the exact same date. In fact, we already know it's not gonna be the exact same date. We've seen Chizuru and Kazuya's version of the date for a couple months now, and it's not one-to-one with what's been going on with Ruka, and it's being used in a pretty good way, and we'll talk about that later. But the thing that just really got to me was like, if we're gonna see this date with Kazi and Chizuru, why do we need to see him with Minnie? And another thing that kind of pissed me off about this was that we are teasing the fact that Yaemori might be developing a thing for Kazuya. Why? We are like 350 chapters into this manga. We do not need to make Minnie a rival because there's no way she is ever possibly going to have a chance of winning. It's not going to be a thing. Like, we can't, like, why would you build this so late? It's just going to either be something that doesn't matter or be something that's going to extend the series even further, which is the last thing this thing needs. Now, this rehearsal date with Minnie was my least favorite part of the 9 months of hell, but I wouldn't say that it was awful. There was some redeeming qualities about it. But let's talk about some of the more positive things that I really liked during these 9 months of hell. The first thing was Kazuya actually having a moment where he realizes that he doesn't call Chizuru by her name. Kazuya, as we all know, calls her Mizuhara, which is her stage name. If he was calling her Chizuru, that would be a little bit part of her actual name because her actual name is Chizuru Ichinose. And we get this pretty cute chapter where Kazuya is wanting to call her Ichinose instead of Mizuhara, and he can't quite get it out, but Mizuhara still understands what he's going for. Now, did this need to happen in this time? Not really. Like, this could have been happened at any time during the cohabitation arc, but it was cute, and it leads us to believe that maybe Kazuya will call her Ichinose during the date. Maybe right at the end, maybe something in the middle. Who knows? Only time to tell. And the other things that were great about these 9 months of Hell is something that I've already brought up. The bringing back of Mami and Ruka. Now, Mami was around during the Minnie and Kazuya rehearsal date. So that definitely helped make the rehearsal date better. Mami was there with some guy, probably her dad arranged them to be together. And we got some pretty good parts with Mami just showing that she kind of has some things with Kazuya and that she's not really happy being with this guy that her dad is definitely trying to set her up with, and also introduced Minnie to Mami because I don't believe they had met before that part. And then we also got the return of Ruka. And Ruka has just like been around during the cohabitation arc. Like, I keep remembering her being like a chapter here and then a chapter there, but like she doesn't really do a whole lot. And then I was reminded during this arc that like, hey, Rika doesn't know that Kazuya and Chizuru have been living together for weeks. And now, finally, we are teasing that she might find out. She didn't find out, and I don't think she ever will find out because Kazuya's moving out of her place in like 3 days. So that doesn't really give us a lot of options. But, at least teasing that Ruka might find out is good. And again, like, why couldn't that have happened at any other point in the cohabitation arc? Just like Kazuya tried to call Chizuru her real name. Seeing Mami and Ruka does remind me that when Reiji uses the actual characters in his story, Rent-A-Girlfriend's pretty good. My biggest complaint about the cohabitation arc is that it's very Chizuru, very Kazuya, and very Minnie heavy. They're pretty much the only three characters we see for the majority of the story. But when Sumi gets introduced and she comes around during Chizuru's birthday, that's great. It's fantastic. when Urchin Boy, he shows up and then he's confessing to Chizuru. That's great. That's fantastic. And then when Ruka shows her ugly head to be like, ooh, Ruka's in the background, that's good. Same with Mommy. She showed up at a time and invited Kazuya to a cafe. That didn't really go anywhere, but I mean, hey, it's still reminding you that she's around. Reiji just needs to use the characters that he has at his disposal, and when he does, Rent a Girlfriend really comes into its full potential. Now, with that being said, the real date between Kazuya and Chizuru is 100% going to be them forward, but it's cute, it's good, you understand why it's just the two of them. We're going to cut that thing some slack, but after it, we're going to have to start using some characters and wrapping up their arcs because hopefully this date's the end. And finally, after all of that stuff that we just talked about, after the 9 months of hell, we come to chapter 352, which is the date. Or rather, it is Kazuya standing outside the house waiting for Chizuru to come out, and then she comes out in a ponytail, mind you. This date's gonna rock, specifically for me. And they get their umbrellas and they leave. And that's the end of that chapter. And then the next chapter is them walking to the train station. And then the third chapter is them getting on the train and riding the train. And the fourth chapter is them getting to their location. Yeah, this date is gonna take forever. The date is going to probably last about as long as it took us to get to the date. I'm going to call it 9 months at least, maybe the next year. But the date is already super cute and it's so good that I don't think I'm going to mind this being my 2025 of just reading this date because genuinely, this is the best part of Rent a Girlfriend. I can't remember a time since I've caught up. Before, when I was reading the movie arc, I remember enjoying it. But since I've caught up, I cannot remember a time that I actually remembered reading Rent a Girlfriend this much. I am actually excited to read week to week, which I have never been with Rent a Girlfriend. And I am so happy that we finally made it to a point where I am not dreading Tuesdays. I'm actually looking forward to it. Now, what makes this actual date so good? Why do I keep gushing about it and why is it so great? Well, it starts off pretty much right off the bat when Kazuya and Chizuru are both walking with their umbrellas and they're thinking to themselves, I wonder if we should share an umbrella. Like, it's just little cute moments like that that make this date so good. And in fact, speaking of cute, during the rehearsal date, Minnie gives Kazuya the advice to call her cute the second you see her. And what does Kazuya do? But he flakes out like he always does, the spineless jackass. Not that I'm much better. I mean, he's the one that actually got the date, not me, so what can I say?
Ooh, self-burn. Those are rare.
So Minnie tells Kazuya to call Tigger cute, and he doesn't do that, but when they actually get to their location, they have a time to just hang out because it's not actually open yet. So Kazuya, making small talk, asks her if she's been here before. And then Chizuru says that she's been here multiple times because she's a rental girlfriend. That's what she kind of does. But Chizuru says that she wants this to be different from her other renting fakes that she's been on. And Chizuru, for all of the cohabitation arc and all of this state arc and the 9 months of hell, has been acting very differently and has been acting very cute. There is this thing that Reiji has been doing where he will have a full page or a 2-page spread, and it will just be Mizuhara's face and then a small speech bubble with 5-point font that just has Mizuhara muttering under her breath. There was a moment during the cohabitation arc where Minnie is taking the two of them to Comic-Con or someplace kind of like that, like a cosplay event. And Kazuya is interacting with this cosplayer who's based off of a real cosplayer, by the way. And Mizuhara gets a little jealous and she asks Kazuya, was she cute? And it's in this really small print. And so it's really, really cute and funny because she's a little embarrassed. And that happens plenty of times during the cohabitation arc and the current date. And there's a moment where it's just Mizuhara on like a 2-page spread, like leaning against the wall, and it's this really small font, and she goes, "I want you to call me cute." And when I read that, I was on the floor. I was losing my mind because that is amazing. We haven't seen Chizuru act like this ever. This is such a cute moment. This is a landmark moment for the series, and our guy's gotta do it. He's gotta call her cute. And he does, but she doesn't give it to him because it feels like, she asked him to, and like, he get really upset because it's like, dude, you should have did this from the jump. Like, you thought she was cute the second you saw her. I mean, come on, she's got a ponytail. Like, you gotta say it, man. And so that's why this part is so good. It elicits all these emotions and all these reactions. Everything is done expertly. Like, where has this been on this slow grind? Like, we have finally made it to the payoff. It all feels worth it. Like, yes, I was complaining for the past 9 months. Yes, I was complaining for like years and years up until like getting to January 30th when he asked her on the date. Yeah, the Paradise arc fucking sucked. But we're in the real date arc, and it finally feels like we've made it somewhere. Now, could the date end and it be kind of shit, just like the Paradise arc? Yeah. But at least right now, it feels really, really good and really, really satisfying, which is a lot more than I can say for the rest of this goddamn series. And I want to dive more into the fact that Chizuru is acting different than she has on her rental dates. Now, it's been a while since Chizuru and Kazuya went on a rental date. I think it was like, did they go on a date like right after the Paradise arc? It might have been pre-Paradise arc. It might have been the cheer up date. Well, I guess technically the Paradise arc was a rental date because that was like the whole thing of that one. Like, he had to rent her for 3 days and like he got a discount. But anyway, it's been a while since they've gone on like a true blue rental date. And so seeing them on this real date and Mizuhara is acting completely different from how she does on the rental dates is really solid work from Reiji Miyajima. Like, it's not super obvious. It's not like a night and day kind of thing. But Chizuru is just acting like a lot more personal. Like, when you read her as like Chizuru Mizuhara, when she's on the rental date and she's in rental mode, she is the perfect girlfriend. She is just waifu incarnate. She is that girl that every guy dreams of being with. But when she's, Chizuru Ichinose and being on this actual date, she has more of this like childlike whimsy. And not to say that she's acting childish, but she's having like a lot of fun. Cause when they were going like rock climbing and stuff, and even when she was at the batting cages with Kazuya after that one date, I think that was in like season 2 of the anime, Chizuru was kind of like perfect and almost like this like a sculpture almost. I know that's like a weird kind of analogy or simile technically, but it was almost like she was keeping this wall up and just kind of letting it out a little bit, but like not really. But now she seems to be having a total blast. There's a moment where they're doing like the shooting game, kind of like at festivals, and Chizuru just like rocks his ass on it, and like she's like killing it and he can't knock anything down. And she like kind of sees this and she's like teasing him a little bit like, haha, I win. And it's like she never really acted like that like before, and like seeing her act like this now is really cute and really charming. And I love seeing this like juxtaposition between how she acts because that's what the series has been about this entire time. Chizuru has two distinct kind of personalities where she has Chizuru Mizuhara and Chizuru Bijinose. And even after the Paradise arc, Chizuru said to him, "Hey, I don't think you have a crush on Chizuru Ichinose. I think you're in love with Chizuru Mizuhara." And she doesn't exist. Like, she's not me. And I don't think you even know who I am. And the cohabitation arc was all about Kazuya getting to know Chizuru Ichinose. And this date is him going on a date with Chizuru Ichinose. And this will be the definitive thing that shows her, hey, he likes you. No matter what mask you're wearing, no matter what you think, he likes you. So yes, I am definitely excited for Rent a Girlfriend. I am very much enjoying it. Season 4 is going to be fun because, yeah, it's getting a 4th season. Paradise Arc. Yay! And this is totally going to be an inverse of what was happening with season 2 of Rent a Girlfriend. When season 2 of Rent a Girlfriend was coming out, that was the good part of the series. And we were reading like the beginning of the cohabitation arc, like tail end of the Paradise arc. And that was garbage. I hated that part of Rent a Girlfriend, just trying to go into the cohabitation arc, coming off of the Paradise arc, being like, why isn't this fucking thing done? It should have ended right after the Paradise arc. We should be in the last 2 seconds. Why are we in the middle of this thing? But like, I was being reminded of the beginning and how good it was, and I just had to stop watching the anime because it was pissing me off. And now when we get to season 4, the manga is probably going to be great, and then the anime is going to be like, hey, remember when this shit sucked? So that's going to be fun. So yeah, a lot of big things coming out in Rent a Girlfriend in 2025. If you want to see me cover the series as it's continuing, if you want to see me talk about season 4, let me know down in the comments. I am always down to talk about Rent a Girlfriend. It is something that lives rent-free in my head. So I am always down to talk about it, and I will yap about it for hours and hours on end. I can't wait to see how long this video is going to be. But anyway, make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more Rent a Girlfriend action. And with that, sayonara.